If you are taking the updated 2025 U.S. naturalization test, the bar for citizenship has been raised. You now have a pool of 128 total questions to study, and you have to answer 12 out of 20 correctly in your oral interview to pass. Staring down a list that long usually leads to a lot of stressful brute force memorization. But there is a specific block of the test, questions 50 through 57, that all revolve around a single subject, the judicial branch. You could try to drill those 8 answers into your head with flashcards, or you can look at the deliberate design choices the Founding Fathers built into the government. Once you see the logic behind the system, the answers explain themselves. Think about how the government is structured. The president and the members of Congress are politicians. They constantly have to worry about public opinion, campaigns, and winning the next election. The third branch of government is entirely different. The federal courts answer only to the Constitution. Understanding this intentional political independence turns memorizing these 8 test questions from a frustrating chore into a clear story about American checks and balances. Question 50 asks, what is one part of the judicial branch? The first answer is federal courts, covering the vast network of district and appellate courts across the country. Sitting at the very top is the answer to question 52, the Supreme Court. So you have this massive 3-tiered structure. Question 51 naturally follows up by asking, what does the judicial branch do? The citizenship test accepts 4 specific verbs. The judicial branch reviews laws, explains laws, resolves disputes, and decides if a law goes against the Constitution. That last power is known as judicial review. Courts are generally passive. They have to wait for a specific case to be brought to them. But when a case does arrive, federal judges have the ultimate authority to strike down laws that violate the Constitution. Because their rulings are final, and neither the president nor Congress can overrule a constitutional decision, the people wielding this power need intense structural protection against political retaliation. That brings us to question 55. How long do Supreme Court justices serve? The answer is, for life. Question 56 asks why they serve for life. This is the central philosophical question of the entire civics test. The answer is, to be independent of politics. Alexander Hamilton argued exactly this point in Federalist 78. By guaranteeing life tenure and protecting their salaries, the Constitution ensures that judges never have to worry about being fired just because they made an unpopular ruling. The structure of the bench itself is covered by question 53. How many seats are on the Supreme Court? The answer is 9. And for question 54, you need to know how many justices are usually needed to decide a case. By law, it takes a minimum of 6 justices to form a quorum and conduct business, and a 5-justice majority vote to render a final decision. Finally, question 57 asks, who is the Chief Justice of the United States now? Right now, the answer is John Roberts. But because this is an active political position, you must double-check the current Chief Justice's name right before your specific interview date. These specific mechanics, the 9 seats, the quorum requirements, and lifetime appointments, serve to insulate the nation's constitutional umpires from partisan politics. So rather than 8 isolated facts, you now have one cohesive system. The architecture of the courts, their job to review laws, their lifetime protections, and their 9-member roster all point back to that single goal, political independence. The founders noted a distinct paradox here. The judicial branch is inherently the weakest of the 3 branches. It controls no military force and prints no money. It relies entirely on institutional respect. Yet, because it lacks physical force, that exact structural independence makes the judiciary the ultimate safeguard for American liberty. It exists to check government overreach and ensure the rules apply equally to everyone. This brings us back to your goal. When you stand at your naturalization ceremony, you will swear an oath to support and defend this constitutional system. Mastering these 8 specific questions demonstrates a command of the foundational mechanics of the democracy you are about to join.